Welcome back to Unfiltered, Unspoken. I had a glitch in my video. I'm so sorry about that.
It's
but
okay.
we here. Welcome to Unfiltered, Unspoken, where we're going to continue to bring life experiences as we promised. And today we have another exclusive with Delicia McCain, and this is going to get interested. So, Delicia, under 2 minutes, can you introduce yourself? And then Sid is going to kick off the first question.
Hello, everyone. I am Delicia McCain. I am 51 years old. I have done a lot, seen a lot, and case manager, hairstylist, um, just all kinds of things, work in the movie industry. So I'm just a woman of all kinds of trades. So I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
good to have you. So we're gonna start at the beginning like we always do. What was your childhood like? What was your household like? Did you experience any traumas as a child? And what was life like growing up?
Oh, well, my childhood was very interesting. I grew up in a very regiment family household. Um, I grew up with a military dad, a very submissive mom. Um, she was there for all of us. She was one of those moms that would, you know, welcome you home after school and help you with your homework. And she was a great mom. She was always present. But it was very difficult to experience a lot of the love that my mom had because she was going through a lot of abuse and um, just a whole lot of just it was just terrible for her. She was very controlled by my dad. We were always supposed to have a good space. No matter what you're going through in your house, you come out with a smile. So it was very, very interesting, I should say. We were a family of appearances. Um, I never wanted for anything. I had a very privileged household. Um, Never felt the pain of poverty, at all, none. But inside, it was a lot of hell in my house. Um, my dad was disrespectful, um, belittling to my mom, and my mom was a great woman. And I just recently lost her, so I may get a little emotional. Um, but she was always one to show me love, even through all of her pain. So growing up there was interesting. I grew up with siblings that um, were a lot more seemed accomplished than I would be. So they got a lot of more, I think, attention. Um, I thought it was because a lot of it was I just seemed different. Just seemed different. I don't know. I don't know if I was too boisterous. I don't know what it was, but I just seemed different. So growing up with those two siblings, I never seemed that I was ever enough. Um, just kind of wish I wasn't there sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an interesting childhood, to say the least.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was what my parents could do for what they had, I guess. My mom did what she could for what she knew. My dad raised us the best way he could, I guess. But it was a very interesting childhood.
Okay. Well, I'm going to intercept because I don't want you to get too much because Sid and I we're gonna pull it up out of you. So you said you watched your mom go through some traumas. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I grew up and always defended my mom. My sister and I always defended my mom. For some reason, my dad was very angry about certain things, very unhappy about certain things, and he would come home and take it out on my mom. Don't really know the reason why. A lot of, yelling, screaming, a lot of bumps in the walls. And so first thing, me and my sister would just jump out the bed and just go rescue her. So we were fighting all the time. um, my brother never did anything. So um, I just always remember my mom crying a lot. I remember her being sad a lot. And and I remember just me and my sister, we were just very close with my mom. So we were her comfort. She was close with my brother as much as she could be, but it's always a relationship with your mom and your daughter. So even though she went through a lot of pain and she went through a lot, she um, just never was able to be her authentic self. She never was really able to pick out her own clothing. Um, so she made herself like it. She dressed like my dad every day, as far as I know. I don't even remember her ever wearing anything different. I think she had some time wore something different, but not too much. Um, I remember me and my sister bought her a dress. We were very proud of it, and we asked her to wear it. And it was a Mother's Day, I think. So she wore the dress one time, but she never wore it again. So I said, "Mom, why you don't wear that dress anymore?" And she said, "Well, your dad won't let me wear it because he doesn't have anything like it." So from there on, we knew that if we bought my mom a gift, we had to buy my dad a gift. If we bought my dad a gift, we had to buy my mom a gift. So if it's her birthday, it's his birthday too. You know what I mean? So we always had to buy two of everything, um, no matter what it was, unless we did something creative. Like I used to do creative stuff, like just buy her a trinket that I know she could only like a teddy bear or something like that. But you know, um, my siblings felt pressure to do the whole regimen of buying two gift thing. So um, yes, she was very abused in all types of ways. She just never had a voice. Like his friends were her friends, his family was her family. She had family, but she wasn't allowed to see her family too much. She has a sister she was very close to. She had to fight to see her and visit her. So it was just she just went through a lot. She did.
Sorry, my button was working a little crazy, but um, that's
Okay.
that's kind of it's a messed up thing to kind of watch go down. Because clearly you all saw that it was something wrong because you were trying to stop the fighting. But what do you really, going into life, after those moments, going into your adulthood, um, what did you take from being a witness to, that kind of treatment? Did you, take on the submissive role yourself, or, were you kind of resistant, kind of hard exterior? How did that present itself in your relationships?
Um, I think you asked me. I think you asked me, was I submissive? Is that what you asked me?
Yes, like did your mother's kind of way of things in a relationship rub off, or did you choose to go the other route, as into your adulthood and in relationships?
Yes, it rubbed off, and it just I went into a life of always confusion. Dating is was very hard for me because I never had anyone that met the quota, so to speak. They had to be a certain caliber person. They had to have a certain status to be accepted. So I really put a lot of effort into making my parents happy with who I dated, and especially my dad. So I would find myself getting into relationships that weren't healthy, abusive, verbally, physically sometimes, and staying submissive because I knew how to be a submissive wife, because that's all I was been taught since I was a child. You go through and you take all of the whatever the person is providing for you, what they give, and you just keep it moving. So I went through a lot of making bad choices in my relationships, staying well over the expiration date, I always say. So I did that quite often because I knew how to be submissive. But in today's society, these men and these women and whoever you're dating, they're not used to that type of June Cleaver type mentality I used to have. So I had and just watching her. So I was a good submissive wife, but I was always, well, not wife, girlfriend. I was a submissive girlfriend in relationships that didn't deserve that type of submission. So it was hard for me just choosing who to spread that love to. So everybody isn't the same. People don't have a lot of values that I was taught. So I found myself in very dangerous positions trying to be the submissive wife to the wrong person, I should say.
So I'm gonna go back into childhood too, because we want to see like the patterns of leaving from childhood into adulthood. What are some of the behavioral issues that you had from your home as a child? What difficulties did you face?
I faced a lot of some just insecurity. I was very insecure. I found myself very insecure. I was like very insecure as a child, and it just grew into me now. Um, I find myself very fearful at certain things, as far as just making choices that I know are healthy, but I'm in fear of hurting someone's feelings or making someone mad, or so I used to try to do that as a child, to try to always do what my dad and my mom wanted me to do. But at the same time, I was a rebellious child, so I was always confused. And so as an adult, I can be rebellious at sometimes, and it's an ongoing battle for me to manage, not going back to the 11-year-old Delicia. It's really hard for me to try to keep her in her place, so to speak, because I just don't know. I just really don't know how to be sometimes, because I was never really given an opportunity as a child to at least have my first experience of witnessing what I'm supposed to be. You're not supposed to be submissive to a person that beats you. I didn't think, and so, but I didn't know anything else. So, it was just crazy for me, and I just don't even understand why I took so long to talk about it. But I thank you guys. Thank you.
And we thank you for sharing. You doing us a favor
Thank
more
you.
than we are you. Trust us. Um, but I do want to hit on something that you said earlier. In what ways did you, I guess, perceive that your siblings were, kind of more high achieving than you were? What were the inadequacies that you felt kind of in you guys' dynamics?
Okay. Well, I always felt that no matter what business my siblings were into, because we're entrepreneur family, so we all have businesses, million, just businesses all the time. So I always felt that my businesses wasn't as important. Even though my dad would do things, and he had his level of support, but it's always seemed like he supported them a little bit more. He never respected the fact that I would do certain church projects. Was real church? I don't know, but I would find him going to my brother and sister's church, churches all the time, but he wouldn't come to my church. They wouldn't. It would have to be something seriously special. Um, and I could invite him to a dinner, and he wouldn't come over my house for a dinner, or they wouldn't come over my house for a dinner. But I would find out that they'd been over my siblings' house for dinner. So it's never been the same. But at the same time, they overcompensated in certain ways. If I got in trouble financially, my dad was always there. That's just his thing. Um, Unfortunately, I was always the one in some sort of financial difficulty because I became a widow very young. So I've always struggled financially till recently. So I thank God for that every day. But my brother and sister have always seemed like they had a little bit more with my parents than I did, and I could be wrong, but it just always felt like I was slighted. Like my stuff never mattered. Like my dad he doesn't know what type of job I have. He knows I do hair, but he doesn't know I have all the other jobs, and he's not interested in finding out. You know, um, my daughter does things. He doesn't come to her stuff, but he'll go to my brother's stuff, or you know what I mean. So it's weird stuff like that.
So, I have a question. Why do you feel as though he's neglecting you as the most, but paying more attention to your other siblings? It must be a reason behind that. And maybe
Um,
you feel something.
I've gone, yeah, I've gone over my head about it, and it was a running joke in the family that I wasn't really his child, but nobody knows the truth, so we're not going to even say it. But we have always been a question mark. So I remember one time my aunt told me, and she was in anger with my mom, and she kind of said that I wasn't my dad's, and I asked him about it, and he was like, she's not telling the truth, blah blah blah. So we kind of brushed it off. um then I had another family member tell me, well, I basically was bringing it up in conversation, and I'm like, well, it's almost like he's not my dad. It feels like I'm not his child. And she said, oh my God, they told you? So so that made me pique my interest and say, what? So I don't even know if he's my true dad. In my heart, because he raised me, and he raised me the best way he could, and I turned out pretty okay, even though he had his flaws. I believe I'm his child, but at the same time, they were treated a little bit different than me. So I think that will be a reason. If any, it was rumors that my mom had a moment and she, did some things or whatever, and here I come. So that's the rumor, but don't know if it's true. Um, I have no evidence to say it was true, but it definitely feels true. So we're just gonna go with that.
So I'm gonna piggyback real quick. I'm gonna get it to said. So you said you feel like it. Do you feel like he's your dad because he raised you, or is it like
Yeah,
you're my dad because you raised me, but in reality, the difference is how you treated me. You may not really be my dad. The rumors may be true.
yeah. Yeah, I feel that, he raised me, he raised me in a great, as best as he could, like I said. So definitely in that aspect, I look at him as my dad, right? But emotionally, I don't feel that I have the emotional support of a dad. Um, I go through, and I don't have my dad there for me to talk me through things. But I see he's always with my brother a lot, so they have a really close relationship. But me and my sister, we probably, I can't speak for her, but I know for me, we don't have that much of a relationship because I've always been pushed away, so to speak, as a child, and pushed away as an adult. And I made life choices that he didn't agree with. 11 years, I guess, maybe. And tragically, when my husband passed away, I just didn't trust any man raising my daughter anymore. So I made the choice of going into the LGBTQ community to start my life over because I felt that women were more trusting. nobody ever really knew the reason why, one of the reasons why I went into that community. I felt safer. I felt more accepted. I felt more loved. Straight community was just, well, I should say heterosexual community was just too judgmental. And I just felt that the LGBTQ community was more open armed. Um, and so I ended up making those choices, which also made my dad not support me either because he never liked that. So I felt that I had to always try to be heterosexual in front of him, or try to be heterosexual in front of the family, because I didn't want to stain on him. So he's always treated me different, of course, because of that. And to this day, he still treats me the same, differently. So, um, yeah, interesting.
So is there really no pretty much any no outreach now at this point, because there's no, you just lost your mother, there's really no connection between you two now at this point. How would you describe your relationship with him, in the current state?
Yeah, yeah. My mother truly was the glue. We were raised with a lot of manipulation. So my dad knew that the power was in my mom. So my mom was always used to get me to do certain things that he approved of, or put myself in certain situations that embarrassed me because he wanted it or so happened. So when my mom died, it just all fell apart. I'm working on a relationship with him. We recently talked. I asked him if we could meet up, but he's still thinking about it. I'm just ready to move on. We don't have a relationship right now, but we are working on it. You know, I just, I know that that's what my mom would want. And, but I do know that I have to keep my peace. So I'm just going to see how this thing goes with him. And I'm always going to be open for a healthy relationship with him. But I don't think that the manipulation works for me anymore at 51 years old. So, he's very narcissistic. So um, I have to learn how to maneuver around that as well. So, yeah.
So, how do you think he's going to feel after seeing the podcast? Do you think he's going to want to talk to you? And I also was going to ask after you answer that, because we're going into that piece, I wanted to clarify what you meant about family appearance growing up as well.
Family appearances has always had to be perfect. We were considered the 5 pack. People called us the Black Brady Bunch. We were perfect. So every time we came out, we always had to be happy, look happy, act happy, even if we weren't. Even if we were miserable. Sometimes, we I'm not going to say we had a horrible childhood, because we didn't have a horrible childhood. However, we had a very regiment childhood, so we had to always look the part. Meaning even in up into our adult lives, me and my siblings all had to be successful. I just don't think that, I really do believe that if we weren't, my dad would turn his back on us completely, because he's all about success, which is a good thing. It's all about hard work and getting what you need. But my thing is, that's how he measures his love with us, by success. So right now, I think my brother's winning, and my sister's in second, and I might be in third. But yeah, that's kind of our parents of our family. Um, it just, you weren't never ever to be yourself, and I was one of those outspoken kids, so I got a lot of smacks in the mouth and a lot of punishments, and I stayed in trouble in school a lot, just trying to get attention, from the right attention, but I always got the negative. Um, so yes, it's pretty interesting. Once again, interesting.
So what was at that age, what was your escape? What was good in life at that time, if any?
Hair. I've been doing hair all my life, since I was 12. I worked in a salon in DC, and I worked for three, no, maybe I think it was five hairstylists. So I was very busy. So I would go there after school, and sometimes I will be shampoo assistant till 12 at night. And then I would go home, go to bed, go back to school. Then I could go to cosmetology school. Then I could go there. So I was never really home. I was always busy. And I find that's how I am now. I'm always busy. I don't know if it's an escape now because I'm just busy, but I know then I love my schedule because I was in school for a couple of hours, and then I was in career center for a couple of hours. Then I was working for a couple of hours. So by the time I got home, it was bedtime. So nobody had to do anything. So I think my escape was hair. It's a beautiful journey now still. So I'm glad that that was my escape. I did do a lot of um, just I was promiscuous too, younger. I think that was an escape too because I thought that if this guy could treat me right, maybe I could feel how a guy should treat me. So I think I did a lot of promiscuity back and then also with doing my career and stuff like that. So I never got into drugs, never was a drinker, or anything like that. I thank God for that. But I was very promiscuous, and then I got into a moment of just you know um, just making bad decisions as far as hanging out with bad people, put myself in bad crowds and stuff like that. So I did stuff like that to fill those gaps of wanting to ignore what was going on at home, I should say.
Wow. So you were heavy, real, real, real heavy. Do you feel like you have control now, or do you feel like you're going through the way of abuse through your family? You hear me
Um,
good?
I feel like I
Oh,
have a little bit more control now because no, I'm sorry. I feel like I have a lot more control now because I'm learning a lot more with mental health, how it affects, and all of the signs of certain type of behaviors. So it helps me to navigate and deal with my family a little bit better. My spirituality and my faith is very strong. I do believe that now because of that, my faith gets me through everything, of course. Um, but if I didn't have that happen to me and feel those ways, then it wouldn't have pushed me into where I am with my spirituality and my faith. So it's very important to me. I live by it very, very much so. So that keeps me on track, keeps me focused, just educating myself on traumas and trying to get through it and trying to heal from it and not always being a victim. And it is definitely helpful in the field that I'm in. And I've been in the mental health field for 32 years. So I've always had a lot of information. So I just make sure I keep information flowing when dealing with my family. Not that I try to therapy everybody, but I'm therapying myself, analyzing my thoughts so that I can understand why they're making me so crazy today. So I think I have a lot more control now with my life as far as managing and navigating through my family issues and my life issues when they come up. Yeah, it's just I have a lot more control, a lot more.
All right. And what was after, let's say, um, I guess after adolescence, what was your, next kind of pivotal moment in life? Or did you experience trauma, anytime after kind of leading into adulthood? What was kind of the next big moment that kind of guided you through this kind of life puzzle and healing and all of that? What was that moment?
I'm sorry, your connection is a little bad. I couldn't hear the question. What you say, said?
Yes. So, what was your next after adolescence or after, kind of maybe getting out of your parents' home? What was your next pivotal moment? Did you experience any more trauma, or were there any more, kind of moments that kind of shaped the trajectory of what was happening next in life?
Yeah. I was I was married at 18, and I met my husband in Howard University in school, and I was, yeah, I was married. I was happily married. Just had a baby. And October 3rd, he was tragically killed in DC. He was robbed and shot at the bus stop. So I was forced to be a widow at a very early age. So that was very tragic for me. Um, but I knew that survived for a reason. So I must say, my family has a strong faith, so they did help me get through that. Um, well, what, the best they could. Um, so losing my husband at a young age was very hard. I had to learn my life all over again. And I had this new baby to take care of, and I couldn't let her down. So that changed my life completely. Of course, I've had my bumps and bruises, but I raised a very, very beautiful young lady, and I'm very proud of that. But that was a big tragedy. But in the midst of that tragedy, even though it was hard losing my husband, even though it was extremely hard losing the love of my life, but it did teach me that to appreciate what I had and not worry about what I lost. And it taught me how to pivot in relationships a little bit quicker than others. I go through in relationships, but I always say losing my husband was the worst thing that ever happened to me. So losing you is not too hard to do. So it helps me in that aspect. So I experienced one of the worst pains very early at 20 years old. So that was really hard for me. So yeah, that was a very tragic situation. It broke me for a minute. And I'm still healing from it. I still think about my husband a lot. And it's been 30 years. Well, yeah, though 32, 31 years or something like that since he's been gone. So it's been rough. That was very, very life changing. I went from a happily married young, beautiful bride to a very young, sad widow within 2.5 years of my marriage. So,
And what are some of the changes that you went through from being a widow?
um, I went through a lot of depression, displacement mentally. Um, I grew a little bit of resentment for men because he was killed by a man by gunfire. I just had a moment of just recklessness. You know, it was rough. It was really hard. Um, I just went through a lot as far as trying to make sure that my daughter was raised in the proper way, make sure she wasn't harmed because she didn't have a dad to protect her. Um, if I did put her around men, I was very careful that the men I put her around because I just didn't want that story for her. So, like I said, I made the choice of getting in, changing my lifestyle, getting into the LGBTQ community, get to know them, get to love them, and I'm glad I did. Because I felt like I had a little bit more control. I don't know if that makes any sense. I felt like being with another woman would be on my level, so to speak, because we speak the same language. Um, and I just felt safer, and just by seeing how my dad treated my mom, I just couldn't see myself getting with the wrong man. I was like, you get one shot at this. I always felt like you get one shot at the great, and I think Kelly was the great for me, and he treated me like a queen. and I just couldn't find myself being with another man that may have treated me like my dad treated my mom. I just didn't want to do that. So,
Now, would you say that your that you've always had an attraction, to women, or did the attraction come from the attraction to the crowd, or to the, the members there? Um, was it more so just a matter of security at first, and you kind of, knew that you could grow to like women, or, did you start with that actual natural attraction?
um, I always thought that all women are beautiful. So, I don't really know if that was a total attraction. I think all women are beautiful. I don't think anything derogatory about a woman. So I don't know if I was sexually attracted to a woman all the time. I did feel safer in the community at first. I believe that that's what pushed me into the community. I just felt, that I belonged there. So I must have had some sort of attraction. I just can't put my finger on it. Um, I know that my husband used to say that I was going to be with a but no, I can't say that, when I was younger, before, I lost my husband, I was like looking at women while I was with him, because that never happened. So I think that I just felt safer because I ended up dating a guy maybe a year or two after my husband passed, and I found him sleeping with a woman in my house, and it was just crazy, and I was like, this is not going to be my story. So I just felt like women were safer, but I realized that um, it was all about my control. I think of feeling like I was going to be more in control at that time, early. But once I had my first girlfriend, I realized there was an attraction, and we did have a good life together. We had our bumps and bruises, but I did feel much safer with her than I felt with any other guy. So I kind of just stayed with it at that point. But not before. No, I don't think so.
Mm. Okay. I have a question. I'm going to fact. You said your family had an issue with you dating women. Did they ever accept anyone that you were with in the female side, not the male side, because we see that they'll accept the male, but they won't accept the female. So did they ever accept any of the female that you dated?
Um, if I think they no, well, if they didn't quite pinpoint if I was with them, um, they kind of accepted my one of my earlier girlfriends a lot because she did a lot of family stuff with us. So I think she was accepted. Um, After that, I never really brought anybody around. So I just already knew it was a rule. I ended up marrying my wife, and for 20 years, in 2003, I think it was, she was never accepted. She was always um, treated very disrespectful by my dad. She was not allowed in the house, and she still isn't to this day. Even though it doesn't bother her, it sometimes bother me because the holidays, everyone has their partner, but I can't. So, just trying to be accepted, trying to be loved. None of the women was ever accepted. The last person I was with was accepted. And I'm going to say my ex was a transgender. So my ex was actually a woman, just looked like a man. So I found out that appearances is all my parents needed, all my dad needed. So he was very accepted. He was loved. He's still loved, even though we're not together anymore. We're divorced. He divorced me right after I had a stroke. So, but they don't see anything wrong with that. So they're still friends. Um, I was, just trying to get accepted, but he was accepted for 5 months.
Okay, so they don't
And
know that. So
he
they
did
think
was
he's a
perfect.
man,
Yeah, yeah, but he's very
and
much
they
so a
still
woman.
cool with him.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
so what is
because
he?
he looks like a man.
So he's lying to your dad. He's never told your dad that he's a actual
No,
woman. Oh
No,
boy. Okay.
no, no. And that was his secret to tell. And I said I wouldn't as his wife, and I didn't. But I do know that it was for 5 months. I felt normal in my family. I felt accepted. I felt loved. I was invited to all the family events. I was included on group text. So it was for 5 months, even though he wasn't a real man. For 5 months, he was able to get me the love that I was looking for in my family for 5 months. So I did experience what my siblings have been experiencing for all of their relationship life, but for 5 months I experienced it. So I'm grateful for that. Um, at the time, my mom had passed, and she had seen, was able to see me walk down the aisle with a man, and I think that that was the purpose for him, because shortly after that, the marriage didn't last. Um, it just didn't last. So I believe in purpose, and I thank God for him for that purpose, because I did have opportunity to feel normal for 5 months, and I never thought I would in my family, so I did. So very grateful for him, as a matter of fact. And I think about him, very grateful for him, but no, they don't know. But he was accepted. So I think the goal was him being accepted and me feeling
Well, you
normal
know
for
they're gonna
five
know
months.
now after this, right?
Yeah,
They gonna know now.
yeah, it hurt a lot. With everything I went through, but it really hurts that I had to go through such lengths to be accepted in my family. And that hurts the most. That I never really experienced what my brother and sister experienced until I was able to get someone to fit the part. So, not saying I didn't love my husband, because I did love him for who he was. I accepted him for who he was, and I supported him for who he was. But I am grateful that he was able to get me through the door, I should say, with my family.
People so backwards, but that's just a testament of kind of how you gotta pull the wool over their eyes just to get them to see the actual point, because that don't make no sense. But
Yeah,
I guess I wanna rewind it, because
yeah,
we were talking about the death of your husband. But then, kind of a year or two after that, you said you were dating someone um, that sound like they had some audacity. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you can make it
Uh,
quick too? How did that kind of start and end?
he had such audacity. He chased me down, actually. I mean, he literally stood in front of my car for my attention. I was basically just minding my own business, trying to heal through losing my husband a couple years, before, and just trying to get myself focused. I was going to the gym regularly, just on my own boss move, and this guy chased me down and act like he fell in love with me, and we were planning things. We were living together, and I started working a lot. I always work. I've always overworked sometimes. And he would complain, "You're not home enough. You're not home enough. You're not home enough." I'm like, "Oh my God, will you stop whining and complaining, get a job, so maybe you won't be home enough." But anyway, he didn't have a job at the time, and I was working for the whole family. Of course, we all do it. So one day my boss said, "You know what? You need to go home and take care of your man. Just, I'm gonna give you the rest of the day off, Delicia. Just go ahead and do what you gotta do. He's just whining way too much." And I said, "Okay, let me go do that." So I came home and walked in the house, and he was having his pleasure with another woman. So I froze.
What was his facial
I
reaction?
didn't freak out. I'm freaked out inside, but I didn't know what to do. So I just left the house, and he came running after me. And of course, we didn't get back together. And then, huh? I couldn't hear
I
you.
said, I want to know what
I
was
couldn't
his
hear you, Demetria.
reaction when what was his reaction when you walked in the door?
He looked up at me and he said, he just freaked out, throwing his clothes on, chasing after me, that sort of thing. And of course, I made it to my car before he can get to me, and then I left for a little while. But then he ended up leaving and going to the girlfriend's house. So he ended up just actually leaving at that point. So he left me and went with her. They are married to this day. They have 5 kids, and I'm actually pretty close with the kids too because the sister is my best friend. So it's kind of weird. We became best friends when we were dating, when I was dating her brother. So now we're still best friends. So I'm very active in his kids' life, and I don't even think he knows I'm living. So, but I'm very involved in this kid's life. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right? But yeah, I
Wow.
walked in on it. I walked in on it. Oh my
Okay, this
goodness,
that's some
it's
pretty
crazy.
that is wow, 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 wow.
I
So
know,
after
I
him,
know. It's like a
so
movie,
after
right?
him, yeah, so after him, you just stopped dating men and went into the LGTB.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
Okay.
was just done with men. I was like, you know what? If this is what it's going to be like I ain't got time to keep rolling the dice and crapping out, risking diseases and this and that and all that craziness. So I was like, you know what? I gotta go.
Mhm.
So a family member took me to my first gay club, and just trying to get me out of my head for real, just trying to take me out of what I'm used to because I was a Zanzibar girl. I was one of those type of girls, the utopia and all
Me
that stuff.
too.
So I was used to partying like that. Just I know, right? Black
I
hole,
was a
all that stuff. So I
Zanzibar
was one of those type
person.
girls.
Yes.
And she took me to a different type of club. And I realized that the women were more respectful. They didn't grab on you in the club and they didn't expect anything. They just wanted conversation. They wanted to get to know me a little bit better. I still love Zanzibar, but it was my spot at one time. But now, I'm definitely deep into the community. I love the community. I will always respect it. It's of course it's bad season every community. But all in all, I am very much more comfortable on that side of the world. I feel that it's not about who you sleep with, it's about who you're paired up with to carry out your mission and your purpose and your job for Christ. And the partner that I do have is helping me to finish that assignment, to take care of his people, without any regard of what people think. We do a lot for the community. We do a lot for people. We help a lot of people. And I'm just glad and I'm grateful for all of the people that we can help. Um, my partner is a very, very accomplished person, very loving person. The heart is of gold. And I'm one of those people as well. I have a heart of gold, and we just help people and love people. And we don't care what people think about what we do in our bedroom. We just care about the people we help and living by the word and not just knowing the word. So, call me gay, call me straight, whatever. Just say I love people, and I'm going to continue my mission. And if that's the partner that I'm paired up with, then that's who I'm going to run with. That's who I'm going to run with.
Absolutely. And just going off something you said earlier, it looks like even with women, you had a few bad apples until you got the good one. So, tell us a little bit about the one that up and divorced you after a stroke, because that's crazy.
Oh my gosh, well the last one, yeah. My mom passed, and we buried her on the 17th. I had the stroke on the 19th, and he divorced me on the 29th of March this year. He was definitely a bad seed. I think he had a whole lot of issues with struggling with his transition, and he had a lot of insecurities and a lot of pain that he had to go through. And he was there for the purpose, and he wasn't bad with me. He wasn't abusive with me. He just grew out of love with me when I had a stroke. He wasn't a fan of the whole sickness and health thing. Before that, I had women use me, financially mostly. Women are can be interesting about money, so I've had a lot of women use me in that way. But one thing about that, I don't put a whole big price tag on money. I always measure my piece. So if you're taking my piece, you can't take my piece and my money. So they would get a little extra with that. So of course, I had a couple women I had to fight, but it's always a fair fight. We got two women in the ring versus a woman and a man. So I pretty much went through those issues. But then when I met my partner now, in 2000, and I think in 2009, well, yeah, 2000, um, absolutely a beautiful life. Um, don't have any complaints. She's amazing. Every life she touch, she just lights up, and she treats me like a queen. Always have. Um, I just had to grow up to appreciate it. We broke up for 7 years, and for 7 years, I let the world whip my ass. I was out there dating and thinking I had it all going on, which is how I ended up with the last husband. So after that, I humbled myself and I came back and I apologized for hurting her the way I did, because I did. I hurt her a lot, just chasing the wrong things, and I found out the hard way that wasn't important. So now we're together again. So life is wonderful today. I'm very happy. Life is beautiful. I've made great connections. I have a lot of great people around me. So I think I'm doing a whole lot better than I was. I thank God that I don't look like what I've been through. Um, I thank God that He's allowing me to push through these traumas, thanks to you guys as well. So I'm just thankful for the platforms and the doors that He's opened for me to be able to walk through to help His people, whether I'm with a woman or not. I just want to love God and serve God. That's it. That's
Hmm.
it.
So I have a question. When did you have your stroke? And I know you said you got back with your ex. When did she come back? What made her accept you back? I guess I got a two because you had a stroke.
Yeah.
He left you because of the stroke,
Yeah.
and now you're back with your ex. So how did all of this fall in play?
Oh man, my ex came to help me with insurance, because when I had the stroke, I didn't have insurance. She had insurance on me for the whole time we were together, but of course, if I got married to someone else, she had to cancel the insurance. So she canceled the insurance at the end of the year, and I had a stroke in March. So my ex came trying to help me with that, and was just really just trying to help. And because of his insecurities, he got used that as an excuse to leave and whatever else. I don't know. But she came back to help me with insurance. Turned out she ended up helping me with a whole lot of other things. And she asked me, would it be okay if we started over again, as friends, and see what happens? And I was like, we've always been friends. So that was a no brainer. So we ended up getting back together, and then life has just been bliss. Um, People say I probably should have waited a while and before we ended up back together, but I needed help. And she knew I needed help. I couldn't drive, I couldn't walk, and I had difficulties in dressing myself for certain things. So she came in that capacity. And she helped me out so much. And it's just been beautiful. Just genuine love. She forgave me for everything. And she told me she just prayed for me when I walked out the door. She just kept praying for me to come back and praying for me to get, my head right, so to speak. She didn't treat me disrespectful, didn't call me out my name, didn't stop caring about me. Just prayed for me. And then when I came back, she opened her arms to me. She doesn't throw anything up in my face that I have done. She just told me I needed to grow up, and she's glad I grew up and came back home. So that's kind of where I'm at today, and just living a beautiful life. I can't be thankful enough. And it's all because I decided to be true to myself and be with a woman, which is what I always wanted to be with anyway, I guess. So it's all about me being true to myself and not trying to be an image for anybody or make anybody else happy.
That's beautiful. That's real beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, Demetria, for time's sake, do you want to flip flop? You do your questions, and then I got my
Hmm.
last.
Yep, absolutely. So I want to ask, watching your mom, your strength must come from mom, watching her through the abuse, right? I'm not for sure. You can say yes
Yeah.
or no, and then I'll ask my question after that. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
So can you give us advice? One piece of advice as a healing measure. We want the audience to see some techniques to help them start the journey to healing and things that has happened to you. One of them I want to ask, what strengths did you learn from watching your mom get abused that made you strong now? And maybe one or two things that helped you start your healing journey or that is helping you through your healing journey now.
Okay. Watching my mom go through what she went through and still staying strong and still take care of us as best as she could. And she was an excellent mom. And seeing how she kept a smile on her face and she was still able to love her children, even going through what she went through, she was still able to love us the right way, like a mother should love us. And she was able to just be strong and go through it. Even when she was at her last days, she was strong all the way to the end. And just watching her just do what she did and just be creative and just be loving even in the midst of a storm, um, it has definitely added to my strength. As far as my healing journey, I just learned how to just be accountable for my mistakes. A lot of those relationships I mentioned, I had every opportunity to move forward. I just chose not to. I tell people don't play victim. You got to really, really look at yourself and really, really ask yourself, why did you stay? Why do we do what we do? And then once you get to that conclusion, just follow the process. And it's going to be scary and it's going to be hard and you're going to feel lonely, but God always is going to be there. And I was put in a position that I had nothing to rely on but God. And I know that because I had to, being abandoned in that situation. So I just encourage everybody to just really, if you really, really believe, you really, really test that faith. So go through the storm, go through the process, grow in it, look at everything as a lesson. The world is a big classroom and everybody is a teacher and everybody is a student. So don't ever turn down a lesson. And if you're going through stuff, just know that it's a test. You're going to get through it. God got you through the past and he's going to get you through now. Just go through it, learn through it, get everything you can get out of that lesson. It's going to be hard, but it don't last too long if you get the lesson quick. So always know that everything is a test, and we have to be a testimony for God. We have to. And in order to have a testimony, you got to go through a test. You can't make a positive out of a negative if you don't think positive. I mean, if you can't make a negative out of a positive if you don't think positive. So it's always something positive to pull out of a situation that you're going through because all things work out for the good, right? So if that's the case, then you know this is going to pass and you're going to find out what the good is. So just always look for the good in everything you go through.
The good fight, right?
The good fight. Yeah. Surround yourself
The
with
good
good
fight.
people. Surround yourself with people that are on the same level that you're either trying to get to or you're on. Never try to pull nobody up. It's a whole lot of work to pull somebody up and get to your level. A wagon is very heavy with bricks in it. So remember that when you're trying to get to another level, just be true to yourself and just know that everything is all about growing and exploring and learning. We're gonna always learn. Just accept the learning process, the good and the bad.
Absolutely. And so we are at
Yeah.
our point where we like to call a shameless plug. You do see your banner scrolling
Okay.
across the bottom here. So let the viewers know anything you're working on, anything you would like to draw traffic to, anything you got for sale, anything really, how they can utilize your services and contact you. You have the floor.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I work for Maryland Reentry Resource Center, which is a center with CEO Vanessa Bright. What we do is we navigate people returning into society in a safe and positive way with a whole lot of peace and a whole lot of love. I would love for you guys to visit Maryland Reentry. Is My email is at the bottom of the page. Just scroll it, donate, whatever you want to do. It's a very wealthy and um, very wealthy cause to people spiritually. It's been helping a lot of men just have the whole piece of navigation. Also, I worked on a movie called Wake. I got sick just before the movie dropped, but it will drop tomorrow. It's produced by Octech Productions, which is a production company I work for, and Tracy Edmonds. Please check that out. It's on BET Plus, and we also have other movies coming out at the end of the year called Wesley Christmas to Wedding. We worked on Kismet Christmas. So it's in Hush. We worked on a series called Hush. So it's a lot of things to look at the end of the year that I've worked on, and I hope you guys check it out. BET Plus and All Black is what Hush is playing on. So please tune in at the end of the year for that.
Thank you, Delicia.
You're
We appreciate
welcome.
you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
it
You
was an
guys, I
honor.
thank you. Thank you. You're a blessing, and you guys keep doing what you do. And for me, it was very hard to do this because this is something that I didn't want to expose in my family because we are very, very influential in our family. We're the ones that people look up to. So this was very hard for me to go through this, but I appreciate your safe space and allowing me to do that. Thank you, and I love you guys.
We love you too. And thank you for supporting the good fight and everything that you're doing for our cause. You have done a lot, and you're definitely a partner and a top contributor to us, and we appreciate that. So thank you so much. And this is exclusive. We've got quite a few of them, but we got another one.
Well, thank you.
Yes, my
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you
So
guys. And Sid, you're amazing. Thank you. You're so beautiful.
Thank you.
You're
look at her over
welcome,
there
honey. You're
blushing.
welcome, honey. She is very beautiful. You're such beautiful queens. And I just want you guys to just trust the process and just know that God got you no matter what you do, what you're going through. You can visit depression, but don't live there, and give yourself permission to heal the process. But once that permission is over, you got to get back to work. Get
Amen
back
to
to work.
that. Amen. So we're going to
Amen.
thank you.
Amen.
Amen. So we are at time. We're going to thank you. Y'all just hold right back there. I'll be right back. Thank you for tuning in to Unfiltered, Unspoken, where we're going to continue to share life experiences of others in hopes that someone will start the journey to healing. As you heard today, Delicia McCain's testimony, her childhood traumas of watching her mother go through physical abuse and controlling atmosphere, which caused some of her issues, which caused a lot of her issues from childhood into adulthood. She is really just starting the journey to her healing, and it's a beautiful process and the peace around her, and she has completely accepted her life. So that is the mission, that is the journey for us to share life experiences in hopes that you will connect with someone so that you can start the journey to healing. And if you ever want to share your story with Unfiltered Unspoken, please email us at Demetria, Demetria, at unfilteredunspoken.com. And we're going to continue to share life experiences in hopes that you will start the journey to healing. We'll see you next time.